Earlier today, the long-awaited Lace wallet from IOG hit mainnet. Cardano people have been waiting a long time for this, but more importantly, I think it reminds us of an often overlooked fundamental reality of crypto and Cardano. Ready? Let's go. Today, we are going to discuss the new IOG Lace wallet and what it says about the reality of Cardano adoption, an interesting observation about the US Federal Reserve, more perfectly balanced coverage of Cardano, the SEC Investor Advisory Committee, and another big indicator of just where we are with PFP NFTs. If you instantly knew that this was AI because 2-Pen Charlie only has 1 pen, or if you're finding value in these videos each weekday, please consider delegating to the Army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. Today was another one of those long-awaited big days. For a long time now, we've known that Lace was in development. I think I saw the first sort of video promo for Lace. We already knew it existed, but the first time I saw an actual demo or promo of Lace was probably in the Wyoming Cardano event. That was a long time ago now. That was quite a while ago. So Lace has been in development for a long, long time, and people have really been looking forward to it. In the original days, we had sort of Daedalus and we had Yoroi, and Daedalus is a full node wallet, which is great, but it's not quite as convenient as a light wallet for all the reasons we've talked about a million times on this channel. And Yoroi had its own sort of set of challenges and strengths, but its main strength was that it was a light wallet. Ever since then, we've been waiting for another light wallet to come out of one of the founding Cardano entities. We've got other light wallets. We've got Nami and Eternal. I use both of them all the time. I use Eternal quite a bit. And so it was very nice to see that Lace launched today. Here was the post. Hooray, Lace, the first light wallet platform from IOHK, is now live on the Cardano mainnet. Learn more about the initial release and what lies ahead. And if you're like me, what you did instead of learning more is just download the Lace wallet extension. If you haven't already tried it, this is what Lace wallet looks like. And I was extremely happy to see they have one of my most favorite features, the most important thing to me, dark mode. My eyes are like, love dark mode. So this is what Lace wallet looks like. It's got some very cool things. It's got a countdown timer for the epic end, which I think everybody appreciates, because pretty much if you're in Cardano and you're staking, which we know from the same display, 70% of you are, then you're constantly waiting for that 5-day epic to end so that you can get paid. How do you get the money? How do you get those ducats? When do those ducats come? Everybody's waiting for the end of the epic because they want the ducats from one of the 3,552 pools. It also gives you the epic number. So this is kind of a cool little display. I think a lot of different wallets have tried to figure out what is the most pertinent information to deliver to users of the wallet. I think in Cardano, this is very pertinent network information. They've also got some other things, some FAQs about staking and stake pools, those kind of things. This is the staking interface. There's also an activity page, an NFTs page, a tokens page, and they kind of look like what you'd expect. The big surprise, though, the thing that surprised me about Lace, and I would have known if I would have read the FAQ before I actually launched the wallet, I would have found this out. But what happened with me, because I just went ahead and downloaded the extension and launched the wallet, what happened was I immediately constituted a wallet. I created a wallet inside Lace, and I was like, okay, this is great. Because if you're a hardcore Cardano person, let's just say like a normal ecosystem member during the bear market, you might have more than one wallet. You might have double-digit wallets. You might have a lot of wallets, a lot of ledgers, a lot of wallets. So if you're thinking of migrating to Lace from a previous wallet, you might have been using something like Eternal, where you can have a lot of wallets. You could have like a dozen wallets and they're kind of all in one view, and that's good if you're a multi-wallet user. You might be thinking of migrating all those over to Lace. So you might have done what I did. You might have created one wallet over here in Lace and then thought about migrating other wallets over to Lace, only to realize that is not a possibility. Lace seems to be sort of a one wallet interface. I know some of you are confused right now because I'm sort of interchangeably using those terms, wallet and account and public address, but I think you'll understand exactly what I mean when we come over here to the Lace website. So first of all, I like this little graphic. This is very cool. IOG is always very cool about having the very cool graphics on the landing pages. You can see this one goes all the way from this very tight kind of psychedelic little thing to this morphing, changing thing to an actual view of NFTs inside the wallet. Very cool. Once again, IOG, you guys are very good at this kind of thing. But if I come over here to the FAQ, you'll understand what I was actually commenting on. So right in the FAQ, third question. They go through the important questions first. What is Lace? How do I install it? And then the very third question, can I create multiple wallets in Lace? And if we click on this, no, you can't create multiple wallets in Lace, but the team is working on it. Stay tuned. At first, I was super disappointed. I was glad. I was like, man, why can I not figure out how to create, wallets number 2 through 20 in here like I want to do? But then I realized it wasn't just me. It wasn't that I was unable to do it. It's that no one is able to do it. It's not designed. Currently, it's not designed to have multiple wallets or multiple accounts, multiple public addresses, whatever terminology you're comfortable with there. And I realized at first I was disappointed. I was like, oh, wow, this is not the kind of deal where I can just migrate all of my wallets from Eternal and Nami into one central place. This is not going to be a one wallet to rule them all kind of situation for me. I would have to have multiple versions of Lace running, maybe on multiple machines in order to do what I want to do. And at first I was a little disappointed. And then I realized, actually, this is a really good idea. This is exactly what it should be, because Lace is doing the most important thing it could be doing, which is not serve my interests. So I realized this is an important concept, I think, about adoption in crypto in general. And it definitely applies specifically to us in Cardano. It's this. It's the bear market right now. And what we know about crypto is that crypto in the past has been very cyclical. And we're not talking about price here. I'm just going to talk about adoption. But the adoption of crypto has been very cyclical. And, that cycle does seem to be related to the Bitcoin halvening cycle. But what happens is during the bear market, you've got a bunch of people like me and probably anybody listening to this, to watching or listening to this video or podcast right now, however you like to consume it. But all of us, we're kind of like the hardcore community members who probably came in during one of those big bull cycles at some point. Most of us, some of you may have come in during a bear market, but most of us came in during one of those big bull cycles, and we're still here because we're very enthusiastic members of the Cardano community. But the truth of the matter is, we're not the biggest part of the adoption. The biggest part of the adoption is the huge wave of people that come in during the bull market. And a big giant chunk of those people are people who've never had anything to do with crypto before. This happens every big crypto bull cycle. 1 million people come into crypto. And so far, it seems like every wave has been bigger than the last by a huge margin, sometimes an order of magnitude margin over the previous cycle, which is fantastic. And since those people, it seems like most of them, I'll go out on a limb here and say most of them haven't been in crypto before, they need to enter crypto in a straightforward, non-complicated way. And that includes using wallets. This is a big part of why centralized exchanges are so popular, because it's so much easier to understand a centralized exchange than it is to figure out how to use a wallet, a general, non-centralized exchange wallet in general in crypto. UTXO makes it even a little more complicated. If you tried to have a newcomer to crypto use a wallet that shows you everything like Eternal does, that has all the UTXOs in there and lets you create 15 different wallets, in one screen, that can be very complicated. But Lace Lace does something different because Lace is not meant to serve my needs, at least the way it is right now. They said they are working on multiple wallets, multiple accounts within Lace, but right now it's just sort of one wallet, one account. There you go. That's because they're doing the smart thing with Lace. They didn't build Lace to serve my interests as sort of like a very active Cardano ecosystem member, which probably applies to a lot of you listening to this right now. It's not really for us. It's for something more important. And that's creating a really good adoption on ramp for all the newcomers who will come in the next bull cycle, because that number of people is so much bigger than the number of us who are hanging out now during the bear market. I think we're very important too. We're this sort of core part of the ecosystem that'll always be around and is really important. But in terms of adoption, getting the most people into Cardano possible, this wallet should be built this way so that it's simple to use. You pop open Lace and you either use your hardware wallet, use your ledger to create a wallet attached to your ledger, or you create a brand new wallet. It's much simpler if it's a single kind of wallet interface than if it were something like an Eternal. So while I was disappointed to see that I couldn't, sort of replicate my mini wallets that I have over in Eternal and Nami and other places all in one place, this is probably a better use of the development resources to create a really easy to use, attractive interface that's going to be very straightforward to onboard the most people possible. And onboarding the most people possible, it's not going to be during this bear market. It's going to be during the next bull cycle. I think what IOG has done here is created the perfect wallet to onboard people during the next bull cycle, which is probably what we should be doing with our development resources. This is probably the best use of our resources right now. And I know it's not frozen in time. They're going to keep developing. The FAQ itself said, they're working on multiple wallets, and there's a lot of other things I expect to be added. Like I sort of expected there would be some kind of a voting center inside Lace at some point. I haven't seen any sign of that so far. I'm guessing that's another one of these things that could be added later on. And knowing IOG, they seem to follow a philosophy of constant improvement, constantly improving and building on what they've already built. So I expect they are envisioning Lace as kind of a fundamental platform, a foundation that they can just continue adding to over time. So good job, IOG. I get it. While this may not be the wallet today that's going to allow me to have 15 different wallets in one interface, it may be the wallet that's going to help us onboard the most people in the next bull cycle. Speaking of all things bullish and non-bullish, check out this post from Patty. So there's quite a lot of information being thrown at us right now about the status of the US dollar as the global reserve currency. And there seems to be quite a concerted effort to constantly show us pictures of the leaders of the BRICS nations and give this impression that, the rest of the world is dumping the US dollar as the world reserve currency, all of those kind of things. Seems like a very concerted effort online in places like Twitter. And it doesn't seem like there's an opposing sort of unified effort to push back on that narrative, but that other narrative is being pushed very hard. So it's interesting to look at stats like this. So Patty's post says, the US and the US dollar will be perfectly fine long term. All this dollar is dead media is propaganda. I just based on the way this social media narrative has been spreading, I tend to agree with Patty here. And he posts a very interesting metric, a chart showing a very interesting metric here. Central banks ranked by largest gold holdings as of April 21. The United States way ahead of everybody else at 8,000 tons, with that accounting for 79% of total reserves. Then you've got Germany, then you've got Italy, then you've got France before you get to any of the BRICS countries. And then we see Russia and China at 2,300 tons and 1,948 tons, accounting for 23% and 3% of total reserves. And then before you get to another BRICS country, you've got to go through Switzerland and Japan. So it seems like before the BRICS countries are breaking away and China is making deals with MBS and France, before that whole narrative started taking root on social media, one of the big narratives for a long time was around this idea that Russia and China were both stockpiling gold, and that was going to be the way they were going to break away from the US dollar as the global reserve currency. And then we see stats like this, which show that that was certainly not the case. If your idea of stockpiling gold is numbers like these, then you're definitely not stockpiling gold the same way that the central bank of the global reserve currency is. And I know I'm kind of combining the idea of a central bank with, whatever entity might be holding gold here. I don't know the sort of what entities they're accounting for here, but I think you get the general idea. A lot of times when we look at these stats, they seem to defy these narratives that spread like wildfire on social media. And it kind of makes sense. If you're in the position of a Russia who's facing massive sanctions, which make it impossible for you to use SWIFT, which makes it very difficult for you to use the global reserve currency, you probably want to do exactly what we've seen. You would want to create this huge narrative that the dollar is dying as a global reserve currency, and the BRICS countries are breaking away, and members of the BRICS nations are cutting deals left and right with the petroleum producing countries, with the OPEC countries, and with certain European partners. That's exactly what I would do if I were cut off from the US dollar like Russia has been. The one good thing about crypto is that we've always been able to count on the crypto media to give very balanced coverage of Cardano, said no one ever. Here's another example of that. This post says, NFT now. The NFT 100 is here. We're excited to unveil the second annual NFT 100, recognizing 100 influential creators and 100 community leaders for achievement over the past year in Web3. View the full list. And of course, you're thinking to yourself, okay, if there's 100 projects, and Cardano has been quite prominent in NFTs, it's been a huge component of our ecosystem. Of course, there are going to be a whole bunch of Cardano projects in this top 100. And then you find out somehow, according to this poster, somehow not a single person from Cardano made this list. Out of 100 influential creators, not a single one of the Cardano creators made the top 100. Once again, perfectly balanced, unflawed coverage of the Cardano ecosystem by the powers that be in crypto. If you want to see how things are working at the current SEC, you might want to check out this post. So this is a letter from the Investor Advisory Committee to Gary Gensler. And they say things like this. Nearly 44% of Americans who want to trade crypto are people of color, 41% are women, and more than 35% have household incomes under 60K. If you're a person in crypto, you might look at this and say, that's great. It's great that crypto is diverse, that we have a wide variety of people in crypto. It makes crypto a better and more interesting place. But that does not seem to be what the Investor Advisory Committee thinks about this. They go from that to this. We think it is very unfortunate and disturbing that there are legislative proposals to carve crypto assets out of the federal security laws and undermine investor protections. Yes, they're saying crypto is actually bad because it's diverse. This poster says they're basically arguing that crypto harms racial minorities. Yes, that is the way the current SEC is working these days. Finally, here's another anecdotal but very strong indicator of where we are with PFP NFTs. This poster is talking about Yuga Labs. Yuga Labs is the entity that created the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which got so much publicity, an insane amount of publicity during the bull cycle. This poster, though, says Yuga Labs raised $450 million from Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, thanks to the enthusiasm of the fandom they created. I checked Yuga's live stream this morning and was the only person there. Look at this, one person watching. This would have been unthinkable back during the bull cycle. There was so much momentum behind that community. It's insane. But don't worry, he says down here, at least their podcast is successful. And if you look at their podcast, they're getting views like 125 views, 177 views. A highlight on this little screenshot, at least, of 294 views. These are very, very woeful views on YouTube for such a gigantic entity that got almost $500 million from A16Z. So it looks like PFP NFTs are truly in a tough spot right now as far as user attention goes, as far as new adoption goes, probably. But I hope you're having a great week otherwise, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.